WUMS University, Oxford.
Welcome back, everybody, to the G and Finn Show here on 92.1 FM Rebel Radio. My name is George Ruggiero.
And I'm John Finnegan.
John, it's over. The first semester of the 2019-2020 university year is finally over. Finals. Today was the last day for those that had a final. I just had a quick project to take care of. John, you have anything going on today for finals?
Today just work. I got everything wrapped up earlier in the week. You know, it's tough. It's finals week, but we're on the other side. We saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Got a few weeks to get back ready for next semester, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm ready for next semester. I'm ready for next football season, since we're going to just get right into it. I talked a bit about it on Monday. I had that quick solo show before the announcement of Lane Kiffin as the new head football coach. Just going to run through that again. Lane Kiffin is the new Ole Miss head football coach. John, you weren't here.
And
What's your take?
I'm thrilled we had a show during the announcement. I had a final during it, but I just adore that. Like Friday, we didn't know who the head coach was going to be, and then by the Monday's show, he was already in Oxford, being introduced during the show at the Pavilion. He was probably my number 2 guy behind Norvell. I think I was with you in that regard.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Norvell's obviously done exceptional things at Memphis. Him moving on, obviously, to the Florida State job left open this year. How many coaches are they paying in Florida State? Because it's got to be at least 3.
So they're still paying Taggart, didn't Taggart get a new gig at Florida Atlantic?
Yes.
That's funny to me.
There was a very interesting circle of head coaching moves that I'll pull up in a little bit. But just my initial impression, I like the hire a lot. Just seeing when you go to Ole Miss when you're a student, you're in Oxford, big fan of the sports, like watching all the games, you start picking up on just, the energy of the fan base. When you follow guys like Red Cup Rebellion and Dr. David Case, just you kind of feel how
Dr. Case,
he's up there with the media giants.
Incredible. He's the best.
A gem of Oxford. But you start to pick up on how the fan base feels, and after the Egg Bowl, that might be some of the worst I've ever seen us acting. Just, we're unexcited, dejected fan base who hasn't been good for a full class of students. Seniors right now never went better than 6-6, and they were bowl ineligible.
Yeah.
So I think it's exciting. It got people back on the train, so to speak. People are excited. I think they handled the announcement very well. I like the way they teased it through their social media networks, especially with stuff getting announced so quickly, because it wound up leaking fully during the FAU game.
Yeah.
During their championship game where they absolutely walloped. Who are they playing? Cincinnati?
No, Cincinnati was Memphis.
No,
they were playing UAB.
They're playing UAB because that's their conference.
Crushed them.
Yeah,
and that was not a game. That was not a game.
So to the point where at halftime they didn't know, and at the end of the game, part of Coach Kiffin's post-game speech was how he was leaving. So that's how quickly things can break. So I think they handled it well. I'm excited about it. He's done a lot at a lot of different places. He's got pro teams under his belt at the age of, 40?
He's 44 now.
44, jeez.
He got hired at that gig in Oakland at 31.
31, yeah.
He's the youngest head coach in NFL history.
Is McVay?
McVay
I know is right now.
McVay is right now, but, for Kiffin, he was younger than when John Madden got hired.
That's incredible.
Yeah, let me look up when Sean McVay
in any case, though,
got hired.
I'm excited about the Kiffin hire. It's offensive guy, but he did bring in his own offensive coordinator. Sometimes you see places with an offensive-minded or defensive-minded head coach not have a coordinator there, but Kiffin started hiring his guys
already.
Let's talk about that.
Quick retrack. McVay was hired at 30, so McVay was the youngest head coach. That's just crazy on its own.
But also 15 years after Kiffin.
Exactly.
So offensive coordinator coming in under Lane Kiffin, Jeff Lebby. What do you know about the guy?
So I don't know much apart from what the media's told us and just his resume. So I just want to sift through that real quick. He was at UCF, Central Florida, and he was the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator up until this past year. So that
offensive coordinator for an excellent offense.
That offense, I mean, they went undefeated. Well, they did go undefeated for a good couple years under him, and they had arguably the best offense or one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah. So
every year that he's been there.
For the year he was OC, 4th in yards per game with 6th in points per game with 43. That's exceptional. And And you brought up a point. There's only 2 teams in the country averaging 300 yards through the air and 200 on the ground this year: Oklahoma and UCF.
And here's the fun thing of that to me is UCF this year is without Milton,
Which, by the way, he was quarterback's coach when Mackenzie Milton was the quarterback.
and he was, up until that injury, Milton was awesome. Like, he legitimately was
He's the reason
one
they
of
went
the-
undefeated.
Exactly. He was one of those guys where you look at him, oh, he's from UCF, he doesn't have anything to do in the league. Up until that injury, I legitimately thought he had a place in that draft. But of course, you know, a serious injury like that,
An incredibly serious injury.
come on.
But he did great things with Milton as quarterback's coach, great things with UCF's offense as OC this past year. So I'm excited about that. I think Kiffin's going to have his own brand of offense. If he's going with Levy, were they ever coached together?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so I'm not sure where they know each other from, but I'm sure he knows
they
that.
were both in Florida.
But his offensive
guess.
style, I'm sure, fits very well with what Kiffin's the direction Kiffin's trying to move.
I would think so. I think Kiffin knows definitely what he wants in a coordinator and in an offense. And Levy just seems the type, like if you looked at UCF offense over the couple years that he's been there, either as the QB coach or the offensive coordinator, it was just a very fluid, very stylistically open offense for the most part. And it was just fun to watch. It seemed like they could kind of take any defense and manhandle it in its own way. Just because, one, that run game. I mean, if you're putting up over 200 yards a game, that's awesome, as it is. And we put up 250 yards a game this season without with a great running offensive coordinator in Rich Rod. But thing is, with Levy, he can open up the passing game too. I think that's where I'm most excited about with this offensive coordinator hire is the fact that it's almost the complete opposite of both of the last 2 offensive coordinators we had.
That's honestly a really good way to put it. And you know what? There's an immense amount of talent on our freshman offense this year. We are returning an incredible amount of just pure athleticism. Football skill, solid, but just pure athleticism, one of the best classes in the country. Just guys like Ely, Plumlee especially stick out to me, and Snoop, of course. But the fact that we can do so many exciting things with that offense that I didn't see a ton of last year. I mean, you can run options, but all of a sudden you've got something like the Ravens run where all of a sudden you have great playmakers and the defense has no idea where the ball's going. For a while it was, hey, if we got to third down, we're going to throw a slant to AJ. The year after that, it was, hey, if we get a third and short, it's going right to Scotty. Now we've got all these weapons. You've got so many different things you can do. If you choose or you're able to effectively utilize talent like this, could be incredible. And I'm really excited about that. As far as, did we get into Kevin Smith yet?
No, we haven't. Kevin Smith was hired as the new assistant head coach.
Which, do we know what he's going to be doing as assistant head coach yet? Because that's kind of an odd title.
It is an odd title. It's something that we didn't have this past year with Luke. Did they consider both our coordinators as assistant head coaches, or
I'm
were
not
they
sure.
associate head coaches?
I'm not sure. Generally, position group coaches, I know, are associate. I'm not sure about
Our coordinators, yeah.
I think OC, DC are separate.
But he looked. He worked with Kevin already at
And it
Florida
looks like he's
Atlantic.
an offensive guy, too, because he was the
He
running
is,
backs coach
yes.
at FAU.
Definitely, and he played running back in
Oh,
both
really?
in college and in the NFL for a little while. He had that running back room at Florida Atlantic on fire. I mean, 3 straight years with 2,000 plus yards for that running back room. That's a feat on its own. And he had Florida Atlantic's running game ranked 6th in the country in 2017.
Wow.
6th in the entire country.
And, and by the way, I'm looking at Kevin Smith's career. He went to UCF, wound up coaching there. He was UCF's all-time leading rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
905 carries, 4,864
there you go. Get it
yards.
out.
It took a while, but look. Wow, that's incredible. His 180 points he scored in 2007, that's 4th in the most scored in a season of college football.
Ever.
By a person. That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's 62 yards shy of Barry Sanders' yards for a season record.
Come
That's
on.
incredible. So that's exciting. And, the fact that he can do a lot with he was the running backs coach, you know? So
Yeah.
this strikes me as someone that Kiffin brought in knowing, hey, I'm going to have all this offensive talent. I know Jeff Lebby's going to take good care of it and get us into passing a little more. But with all these running backs, I kind of want Kevin Smith to come with me. I mean, 3 straight 2,000-yard seasons
Makes sense.
for their running backs,
It-
6th in the country.
It's a good plan, I think.
That should be
That's
exciting.
such a refreshing change.
Let Lebby decide when to run and pass, and then if we decide to run, hand it over to Kevin Smith and our guys.
Like, this is such a refreshing change for me. Because over the last, 2-3 years, really, it's just been so much uncertainty, so much overturn, and it seemed like so many wrong steps, so many poor decisions, that it was getting stagnant, getting stale. That's why people just weren't having fun this year. That's why people weren't going to games, being excited after we lost this year's Egg Bowl, because just after that game, it didn't look like anything was going to change.
I was certain nothing would change.
That's what I thought too. I really had no expectations going into this offseason for this football team. I thought it was just going to be same old Ole Miss.
That's exactly what I expected. I fully thought Mike McIntyre would become the head coach. He's the guy already in the room.
As soon as he got interim, I was like, okay, first off,
That's the safest title in Oxford.
yeah,
Until
really.
the Kiffin hire. Just flipped it on its head. So I'd love to get it. So Kevin Smith, but by the way, you just mentioned low expectations. Speaking of low expectations, you mentioned
Oh no,
Kevin Smith did go to the NFL after his career
Yes.
at UCF. Guess who he got drafted by?
was it Detroit?
It was the 2008 Detroit Lions.
I kind of knew that because I looked it up earlier.
Didn't go great that year, to say the least.
No, didn't he battle injuries? Throughout
Yes,
his career?
some injuries. Wound up on the
PUP list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and never came back. But
you hate
he's-
to see stuff like
he's
that.
made a heck of a career for himself, still staying in football. Great that he set a record at his alma mater. Excited to have him coming to Ole Miss with the running backs we've got. And then
One
strength
more-
and conditioning
one more hire.
coach, Wilson
Yes.
Love. Underrated part of the game because you know what?
It
If
is. It is.
If your strength and conditioning coach does their job right, you never notice. It just makes everybody else look better because the guys are strong and fast enough to get the job done. If
Which,
they
I
do their
mean-
job wrong, you wind up with guys like Jashai Polite coming out of Florida, where
have no
absolutely
work
work
ethic.
ethic, pure talent. Guys like, or situations like Maryland, and I'm forgetting the kid's name, but the one who was pushed far too hard and wound up passing away from heat stroke. A player on the Maryland football
That's
team.
right.
But
what was his
during
name?
summer camp this past year.
I can't think of
Yeah.
it for the life of me, off the top of my head.
And I'm sure I've got it somewhere.
Thing is, Wilson Love, he's got a great track record. He's worked with Kiffin before. It should be a good hire.
You know what? If he decided he wants to bring a guy, that means, look, this is a known value. I know this guy can get the job done
Exactly.
with the talent I have. So, that's exactly what we're looking for. And Jordan McNair, by the way,
That's who it is.
Maryland
Wasn't
student,
he?
he passed away.
Was he a lineman?
I'm not
That sounds
sure,
familiar.
but wound up having to have a emergency liver transplant. Which
That's right,
Can help
that's
with
right.
that. But yeah, 6'4", 325 looks like he was a lineman. But
Yeah,
that's
that's
a guy
likely.
younger than us. So you like a strength and conditioning coach that knows how to do their job right.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's a little wrinkle with all this, and I actually got this in from one of the fans
And-
texting me just a couple minutes ago asking us to talk about this, and that's, what do you think of how these coaching changes, they're not forcing players' hands, but players that have previously entered the transfer portal,
And two of note,
Tisdale and Battle, which we've already talked about those earlier in the year.
Tisdale's a 4-star, right?
Yes, both
Tis-
are.
yeah, so-
both of them are.
Battle's a 4-star wide receiver we got during the wide receiver U resurgence kind of last year.
Yep.
That's when he signed.
Tisdale
He entered
is
the
a-
transfer portal midway through the season.
So did Tisdale.
And Tisdale entered a couple weeks later, 4-star quarterback.
Out of
He
Allen,
had-
Texas, keep in mind.
Yeah, Allen, Texas is a
Hotbed. Hotbed of
exceptional football developmental area as far as high school game goes. Both entered the transfer portal during the year when it looked like we were going to run the ball a lot more, with Plumlee especially. I'm surprised Corral hasn't tested the waters here. I've been very happy with him sticking around. I think he has a place on this team.
Oh, definitely,
I
especially
think-
especially in like a Lebby offense.
Tisdale has the most potential on this roster. Plumlee has the most potential on this roster as a football player. Tisdale
Plumlee?
has the most potential on this roster as a SEC quarterback, in my
Yes.
opinion.
No, I agree.
I think it's going to be so incredibly hard to use Plumlee's skill set that it'll be. It's unlikely he reaches his ceiling.
I'm
even
serious.
though I think it's the highest.
I'm completely serious about this. They just need to make I don't want to say make him not play quarterback, but
Make him Taysom Hill.
exactly. That
There's
should be
one-
his position.
There is one professional athlete who has the same skill set in the same sport as Plumlee, and
Taysom
it's
Hill.
Taysom Hill. You need
Because
to, you need
they're
to take
both-
cues from that because there's nobody else that works that way. There is no one runs that offense because that's the offense the coach runs or the offense the team runs.
Yeah.
They run that because of personnel. College football teams need to work off their personnel because everybody's gone in 3 or 4 years.
There's no really, holdover.
You don't mold guys.
Things
Yeah.
change so frequently, and a lot of times with college, it's not even 4 years. It's even less. So
Yeah,
there's
you-
so
you-
much turnover
you
in the
redshirt,
personnel.
Or you've got a guy you're starting behind or backing up your first year, and then all of a sudden you're 3 years out of high school. It's time to get to the league. And
It's
guys
like
transfer
that.
all the time. What if you build an offense entirely around Plumlee, and he decides to transfer?
Or
That-
with Plumlee,
that
there's
happens.
another wrinkle. What if he decides to play baseball? What if he sticks with baseball?
Wouldn't surprise me too much either.
It really wouldn't.
Tisdale's a baseball player too,
Tisdale is?
or isn't he?
No,
Who's the
Ely
other-
is.
Ely is.
Jerry
Ely
Ely,
is.
which, like I said,
I'm sorry, I got all our freshmen
No.
mixed up.
like I've said,
There's
I
so
heard
many that play
Ely-
baseball.
Yeah, well, there's two. That I know of.
To me, that's a lot.
For two-sport athletes, that is a lot, especially ones as talented as those two.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing.
I think that's what should be the most exciting thing about these new hires, is that it's convincing players that have previously kind of written off
like-
the program to say, yeah, you know what? This is somewhere I can thrive. This is somewhere where I can succeed. And I think that's going to be really good for this program on the recruiting trail.
And it's not that it's guys deciding not to transfer. It's guys who decided to transfer, who, it's a tough decision to make. Just like going to school if you're not an athlete. Is this going to be the place for me to succeed? Do I see a future for myself here if I want to go to the league or in whatever success I'm looking for, can I get that here? And they decided they couldn't. With the new coaching, these guys know a lot more than we do.
They're part of the program. They have to know
They're
more
part of
than
the
we
program.
do.
They know a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. Nobody knows everything that goes on behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, these guys know who they are as coaches. I'm sure they look at that. They decided, you know what, that's a difference maker. If that's the case, I'm staying at Ole Miss. That's massive. Tisdale and Battle staying is big.
It's huge.
And it's reflective of how recruiting is going to go in the future, I think, with these
I
guys
sure
as
hope
well.
it does.
Now we got to talk about the guys we lost to make room for these
Yes.
new hires. Nothing's official, is my understanding, but
That's
the
my
writing's on
understanding
the
as
wall
well.
for people with redundant job titles, especially towards the top, and then for guys who have been starting to be removed from the website, that kind of thing. No official announcement yet, but looks like
These are just guys that I know
So
that
Rich-
are not on the website.
Rich Rodriguez obviously lost offensive coordinator.
I kind of assumed that, if I'm being honest.
Bicknell, our own line coach. Jacob-
That was surprising to me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with that. Jacob Peeler, our wide receivers coach, I don't know if I'm thrilled about that.
I'm not.
I think he
I'm
did a
not
good
happy
job with
about
our
that
wide
one.
receivers.
I'm not happy.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even see your note about that.
Yeah.
He's done a good job. Hopefully the guys can step up. And Jeff Coons, who I'm not familiar with, but inside linebacker coach, it's not like he had many guys to coach this year anyway.
No, but thing is, for me, what's the worst about losing Peeler and Coons specifically is Peeler's done such a great job with these young wide receivers because they're pretty much all freshmen or sophomores for the most part. And the fact that they will be here next year and we will be bringing more people in that he will have the opportunity to work with. With Coons, what I don't like about losing a guy like that is how dependent McIntyre's defense is on the linebackers. He uses them for everything. He uses them to rush. He uses them to drop back into coverage.
That's what happens when you run a 3-4.
Exactly. So, what's interesting is will we even keep McIntyre? That's the big question there.
I don't know if we will. I haven't seen. I mean, Kiffin's not gonna not hire a defensive coordinator. Plenty of coaches would. Defensive-minded guys like who was the old Packers coach? Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy. Well,
Right?
no, that is him, but I don't like him.
Yeah. No, I'm not the biggest fan of his, but he's a guy who doesn't carry a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive coach. He does those play calls. He'll hire an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got guys like
That's
Bill
not
Belichick.
Lane Kiffin.
who
Lane
are-
Kiffin's not
Yeah.
the same coach as Mike McCarthy. He's gonna figure out what he's doing at DC. No announcement made for a hire, but
From what I've seen, McIntyre's still on the recruiting trail with Kiffin.
which to me
To me, is the
a
writing on the
really
wall
good
that
sign.
he's staying. That's what I'm seeing out of that.
And I would love to see that. I expected him to be head coach. I'm thrilled about the possibility of him staying as defensive coordinator. What
Me
he's
as well.
done, especially with the injuries at linebacker this year,
Namely Momo Sanogo.
mostly Momo. That was a big loss.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it. How good would that defense have been if he had played all season?
Oh my God.
It would have been incredible, really. That's all I've got, really, for Ole Miss football right now, with all the new head coaching changes. Do you have anything else for it?
Just briefly, there was so just as far as the coaches moving around right now. It's
Oh,
been
that's right, the carousel.
Yeah, I'm trying to find if I can get it because there's a couple position coaches I'm not familiar with involved, but
Oh, that
So,
is one thing we did forget. Memphis decided to hire their interim head coach.
Yeah.
It's Silverfield is the new Memphis head coach.
so yeah, I can't find the carousel. I'll try to get it over the break, but I think we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back in a few, just after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to the G and Finn Show. Over that quick commercial break, I got some information from the fans, who everybody is texting me and stuff. So, did not know this. Kiffin was actually on Golick and Wingo earlier this morning and said that Mike McIntyre is on the recruiting trail with him. So, to me, that's a good sign. That's showing that they're in constant communication. They're working together. They're working together well, obviously. So I think that's a good look. That's good to show. Excuse me. That I think he will be the defensive coordinator under Kiffin, and I think that's really good.
Yeah,
And-
that's absolutely good news to hear.
And also on the air, this is what's really interesting to me. Kiffin alluded to a dual quarterback threat with Plumlee and Corral.
You know what? Now I need to listen to the Golick and Wingo when I get home tonight. It's about a 20-minute interview through ESPN. If you can find it online, I'm sure it's available. But that's exciting. I love that he's open to using that creativity we talked about in the backfield that I feel like we need or we could at least really utilize. So, and of course, I'm glad to have McIntyre back. So that's great news. You want to get into the college football playoff, the rest of the bowl games?
I'm ready. Let's
right,
get into the
so-
playoffs. I kind of hinted at them and what was going on with them on Monday. But, of course, I mean, without you, I can't really dive too deep into these games.
So, of course, number 1 LSU favored by 13 facing Oklahoma in the Peach Bowl.
It's 13?
13.
Wow.
Clemson will take on Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. Clemson favored by 2. How
a
do you
weird
feel
one.
about those lines?
So, where do you have your line for the Oklahoma LSU game? Because I've got LSU by 12.5.
Mine is through Caesars.
Okay, I've got ESPN's
Okay.
lines.
So, whatever it is.
It-
Yes, I think CBS uses Caesars. But anyway, 12.5, 13. How do you is that where you would have put it?
I'm not sure. I only say that because Oklahoma's defense has been performing better than LSU's all year, but at the same time, LSU is scoring the most points of any college team right now, as far as I know.
Yeah, they
In the
do
playoff,
have-
that is.
They do have an incredible offense. I think
But you can't count out Jalen,
no, you really can't. He's
He's-
never lost a playoff game.
and he's shown it time and time again.
He's been there before on that stage. So is Oklahoma. I think the line's in the right place. It's 1-4. Of course, that's going to be the bigger. Well, generally, it's going to be the bigger spread.
Yeah.
I think Oklahoma showed a lot of potential weakness over the course of the season. Only beat Texas by a touchdown. Texas we thought was a lot better at the time.
Fair.
But
I mean,
lost-
LSU beat that same
I mean,
Texas team.
they lost to Kansas State. The first time they played Baylor, which is one of the best teams they played, probably the best team they played all year.
I think that is the best team they
yeah,
played.
it's got to be.
Baylor's
First
a
time they
solid
played,
team.
they won by a field goal, then they won by a touchdown. Those are close, but that's for a team that didn't make it to the playoff they were playing. And then the loss to Iowa State, or I'm sorry, not lost to Iowa State, but they edged out Iowa State by 1 point.
That was a 1-point game.
And then TCU by just 4. I think Oklahoma's shown weakness. They're showing that they can let teams score a lot on them. Their defense has tightened up. The last time they let up 30 points was the first time they played Baylor in mid-November. But before that, they let up 42, 48, and 52 to Kansas State, Iowa State, and West Virginia.
Wow.
So
That's
there's
tough.
Yeah, and winning those games, of course. But I think Oklahoma's shown weakness. They're a great team, but I think LSU's proven that they're one of the best three. I really do consider it to be LSU, Clemson, Ohio State. Not in that order necessarily, but those
Yeah.
three, and then everybody else.
That's fair.
I think
agree with that.
Oklahoma's still everybody else to me, but you can't count out playoff Jalen Hurts. You can never count out a playoff team.
Never can.
I think the line's set in the right spot. Over under is very high. It's 76.
76.
That would be fun.
I think it will be a high-scoring game.
I am excited for that game, though.
I'm excited to watch this game, definitely. I think what would be the most worrying thing to me about this is the Oklahoma pass defense.
If you're LSU,
No, if you're Oklahoma. Because, yeah, it's been good all year, but they've been known to give up the big play. And Burrow, he's ruthless. He's cold-blooded. Did you see that play against Georgia where he just threw, I think it was like a 70-something yard bomb, threw it. As soon as that ball left his hands,
started
he
walking to the
starts
sideline?
walking to the sideline.
Yeah.
He knows he's the guy.
well, you know what? 80% of the time he completes his pass.
Yeah.
That 80% is just a figure I can't get over.
It's still ridiculous.
I've got LSU in that one.
I've got LSU in this one, too.
In the Fiesta Bowl, Clemson, Ohio State.
Clemson by
a
2.
very slim 2-point favorite at a neutral site. I don't know which of these teams is better, but I think it's Ohio State. If I had to guess, I would think it's Ohio State.
I think it's Ohio State, and I'm saying that based on the resume. Because if you look at the two, sets of teams and schedules, I get it. Clemson, we don't actually know how good they are, but that's because the ACC is a dumpster fire. It is horrible.
And you know what? Like, of course you're going to have SEC bias when you're a fan of a team and you go to a school where you play Alabama, Auburn, LSU every single
it's not
year.
even that.
You're like, yeah, the schedules are harder.
ACC is awful.
No, the ACC is just absolutely.
Like Ohio State in the Big Ten, that's a strong schedule they've had to play.
I mean, let's just take a second and look at both teams' schedules for the year.
Whose do you have right now?
I've got Clemson's pulled up. You
I've
wanna
got
get
Ohio
OSU?
State's.
All right. Kent State,
Florida Atlantic.
Auburn. I'm sorry. So I'm going Clemson. Clemson played Auburn beginning of the. Or I'm sorry. Why is this 2 years ago? I was going to say. I knew
Wait a
that
second.
game
I was
didn't
going to say
just
they
happen.
haven't played Auburn. No, that was
Yeah,
Oregon who
yeah,
played
they
Auburn early this
Texas
year.
A&M.
Yeah, A&M.
I was like, wait a minute. That was Oregon that played Auburn.
A&M. Ohio State played Cincinnati.
Oh my goodness.
Cincinnati's a good American League team.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me.
I mean, they got to the Find the actual Clemson schedule.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
'Cause
run
I want to
through-
break this down like
Yeah, I'm-
game by game against
all right, sure.
Ohio State.
Clemson's first game, Furman.
For FAU
Okay, FAU a better school.
Yep.
Clemson did travel to A&M this year.
versus Cincinnati. I'd honestly put that at a wash.
Cincinnati and A&M.
I mean,
Yeah,
with the way A&M
no,
played
you know,
this year.
I don't think you can equate traveling to College Station. to
Okay,
play
that's fair.
A&M,
That
though.
is fair.
I think that can be a bit
A&M.
more
Okay, I'll give them the edge
and
for A&M.
1-2. Georgia Southern.
Indiana.
Indiana's better.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
This is Miami, Ohio.
Honestly, a wash.
Yeah.
Syracuse.
Nebraska.
Wash.
In Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
right?
Syracuse. Wake Forest was a decent team when Clemson traveled there. They did beat them 63-3.
That's one thing that I haven't been saying about any of these games is the score. In these first couple games, Ohio State put up 45, 42, 51, 76, 48. And the largest score they gave up was 21 against Lane Kiffin's Florida Atlantic.
Or you know what? I'm sorry. This year they played at Clemson for the A&M game. That's the mistake I made.
Then I would say that the Cincy A&M game is a wash, I'd say.
Yeah, but you know what? As far as their opponents, if we just look at the rest of
And
them,
that's just the first couple.
But UNC, a bad Louisville team, Boston College, NC State,
That's 11. That's... I'm just looking
and
for
then
the
they play
closest game.
South Carolina, and they played Virginia. Virginia was probably the best team they played all year.
Yes.
And that was a barely ranked Virginia team coming off beating Virginia Tech for the first time in 16 years. To their credit, they did wallop Virginia Tech in the ACC Championship 62-17.
The closest game Ohio State had this year was Penn State when they won by 11.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like, that's the difference to me in these two schedules. It's not just the fact that the ACC is horrible and the Big Ten is pretty decent, if not really good. Because that's the thing. Ohio State, good team. Penn State, good team. Michigan, pretty good team. Wisconsin, good team. Minnesota, really good team. Iowa, pretty good team.
Terrifying team if you're a playoff team.
Exactly.
That honestly, I would
Exactly.
never put Iowa on the schedule if I had a chance of being a contender.
Never.
But I mean, you look at some of the scores. You look at probably their two toughest games this year for Clemson. A&M, they beat by 2 touchdowns and they held to 10. That's great. That's the kind of score you want to see for. I mean, what was A&M ranked coming into the season? 15, 20 around there.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's the kind of score you want from defending champion. You want them to shut down any ranked team, of course. And then you see the Virginia game. They put 60 up on them and allowed less than 20 against a ranked team. That's what you want to see at a neutral site too. But then you've got question marks when you look at like the UNC game.
UNC,
UNC had
not
to go for
good.
2. UNC went for 2. They were about to end it. But Phil Longo's their offensive coordinator, and that's
Oh,
the only reason
gosh.
Clemson won by 1 point.
Oh, Phil Longo.
So, look, mismatched schedules, there's a lot of question marks for Clemson for me. Ohio State, far fewer. Clemson very well may be the best college football team we've ever seen, but
At
we
the
don't
same
know
time-
because they haven't played anyone that has really been supposed to give them a game yet.
And then there are teams that have given them games when they really shouldn't, and that's where I'm so uneasy about this team. Football Jesus, he's played fine. He's played really well.
Well, honestly, really, their only close games were A&M.
UNC.
Where A&M was 2 touchdowns. UNC was
a point.
1 point.
How they
and
play in
then-
South Carolina?
South Carolina, they walloped 38-3.
Wow.
So, you know what? They're whooping the teams they need to be. South Carolina, obviously, not as good as we thought they'd be coming
Well,
into
it
the
doesn't
year.
help that South Carolina
52-3
was on
over a
their-
Wake Forest team that won 8 games.
South Carolina, weren't they on their third-string quarterback?
By the end of the year, yeah. By the second, by rivalry.
Rivalry week?
Listen, I have a lisp. That's
get it.
bullying.
It's
But yeah, that
Don't make me come
13th
over
week
there.
of the season.
I'll do it.
So they're beating the teams they need to beat, but they haven't shown that they can overcome exceptional talent, which is what they're going to go up against the rest of the stretch. They've got it. I
think
mean,
the
they've
big-
definitely got the potential. This is
Definitely.
anybody's championship this year.
I think there's one big matchup that we need to pay attention to with this game, and that's going to be Football Jesus versus Chase Young, which might as well be college football defensive Jesus at this point. College football Lawrence Taylor for this
I mean,
year.
look, you've got Clemson's facing an Ohio State team that has 2 Heisman ceremony attendees.
Fields and
Neither
Chase
of them
Young.
are going to win, but Chase Young and Justin Fields are both. They're half of the guys going to New York for the Heisman ceremony play for Ohio State.
You want to hear Fields' touchdown to interception ratio?
Oh no,
40 touchdowns, 1 pick.
he's thrown 1 pick all year.
1. He has literally a 40-1 touchdown
That's-
interception ratio.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous.
I genuinely had no idea he was that good.
Yeah, and
I knew he was in the Heisman conversation.
He's thrown almost 3,000 yards with that.
But I guess you look at a game from him, and it's like, all right, yeah, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's fine. But he's done it 10, 12 games in a row.
When he's 12, 13, he's done it every game.
I expect Ohio State to
Huh.
win. That's not easy money. I mean, it's a 2-point spread for Clemson. I think Ohio State will take it.
I'm with Ohio State. That is actually going to be my pick. Like,
To win it?
Ohio State, win it, cover.
Yeah. I'd probably take that if I had to bet on the game. And then I've got LSU coming out of the Peach Bowl. I assume
do
you
I,
do too?
yeah.
Okay. I don't think, let's not get into the possible national championship matchups. Maybe we can go over who we think it'll be at the end. Do we want to run through the rest of the bowls real quick?
I think we could go through some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, you wanna just go through the
because
big
I
ones?
also do kind of want to take a look at Ole Miss's schedule for next season.
All right, yeah, let's
That-
take
that's actually a request.
I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a request from the fans.
You know what? Let's run through some of the big bowls real quick. We'll give lines and both of our picks real quick.
Yep.
And then we'll take a quick break, be back, skim through some football, and give you the rest of that. I actually like that idea a lot, running through next year's schedule. Just one that's kind of fun, the Boca Raton Bowl,
FAU
SMU,
and SMU, yeah.
FAU.
What's the line on that?
SMU's favored by 3.
No.
I think FAU
I don't
will
see
win.
it.
I think FAU will win.
FAU, win and cover.
And they're mad.
Lock.
New Orleans Bowl, App State, UAB. App State favored by 2 touchdowns and
App
a field
State,
goal.
win and cover.
Easy.
Lock.
Let's see. We
I'm
got.
sorry, that's a lot, but seriously, UAB not that great. App State is really good.
Yeah, App State's an
They're
excellent
20
team.
for a reason.
Yeah, you know what? They're genuinely ranked and they deserve to be there. I wish App State was bad.
Why?
I like them a lot, but I wish they were bad because it's so much funnier that they beat Michigan if they're bad.
Okay,
if they're
that's
ranked,
true.
it's like,
That's
okay,
true.
cool. A good, like, App
good
State's
team
good. They
beat
beat number
Michigan,
4
yeah.
Michigan 12 years ago. Who cares? I care, and my roommate's a Michigan fan, and he will never hear the end of it.
He deserves,
Pinstripe Bowl.
the pain.
At Yankee Stadium in New York City, Michigan State, Wake Forest. Michigan State favored by 4.
I don't like either of those teams. They're both bad.
I like Wake this year
I do.
over Michigan State.
Over Michigan State, definitely. I'll take Wake Forest in that, too.
In the Texas Bowl, Okie State will take on A&M. A&M favored by 7. I think they
A&M
take
by
it.
7?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oklahoma State's bad this year,
They're 25.
like I said.
But A&M is not good.
I thought, yeah, A&M didn't impress me when we played. I might go. Oklahoma State will probably cover.
I'm taking OK State.
Holiday Bowl, USC, Iowa. Iowa by 2.
That's a good game. Take an Iowa.
Take Iowa. Yeah, easy.
That should be a really good game.
In the Cheez-It Bowl, featuring Pat McAfee, will be on the calls. Air Force, Watch State. Air Force by 2.5.
Wazoo.
Easy, they got the flags. Camping World, Notre Dame, Iowa State. Notre Dame by 3.5.
Notre Dame. I don't like Iowa State.
Cotton Bowl, Memphis, Penn State. Penn State by a touchdown.
Tough one.
That would be so fun if Memphis won, and I don't like Memphis.
I'm taking Memphis.
All right, Music City Bowl, Nashville. State versus Louisville.
Louisville.
They are not allowed to use cowbells, so Louisville. Red Box, Cal, Illinois. Cal by 7.
Yeah, I'd take Cal on that, too.
I'd take Cal.
I saw this. When we played Cal, I was raving about Evan Weaver.
He's still good.
He's ending the regular season with the most tackles in all of college football by like 30.
Remember when we said it was good?
He has
12
100
weeks ago?
He has 176 tackles on the season.
You know how many times I've tackled someone in real life ever?
Like 4.
Like twice. I didn't play football,
Okay, never mind. I did.
which is a good thing. Because you played and you only had 4.
I played like
Julio
most
Jones
tackles.
has more tackles than that this year.
True.
All right, let's see. Orange Bowl, Florida, Virginia. Florida favored by 2 touchdowns.
Florida.
We'll cover.
Easy.
Vatek versus Kentucky in potentially the final Belk Bowl.
I don't know about that one. That's a tough one because Kentucky's still playing with a wide receiver at quarterback.
I have no idea.
No, they are.
Are they?
Yes,
Oh, that's
they've been
brutal.
doing that all year,
That's incredible.
and they've had a good year. They crushed Louisville.
All right, we got a couple more minutes to run through the rest of these. So, Navy, K-State in the Liberty Bowl.
Navy, boom.
FSU, ASU in the Sun Bowl.
Arizona State,
Utah, Texas.
Utah, Texas,
Utah in the Alamo Bowl.
Utah.
Citrus Bowl.
Minnie and Auburn.
Michigan. Alabama.
Oh, Citrus Bowl. Excuse me.
Alabama's favored by a touchdown.
Bama.
I got to take Bama, but I don't know, man. I want them both to lose. I hope it gets canceled. Outback Bowl. Minnesota, Auburn. Auburn's favored by 7.5.
I like Minnesota's offense a lot. Auburn defense wins.
I love the
championships.
implicit disrespect to both Alabama and Michigan, where their spread is 7 and the Minnesota Auburn spread 7.5. I really enjoy that. That makes me so happy. Rose Bowl, Oregon, Wisconsin. That could be a fun game.
That should be a really fun game. Oregon.
That's a traditional Rose Bowl.
What's
right there.
the spread?
2.5 Wisconsin.
Ooh, Oregon.
Yeah, I like I like
I like
Oregon
Oregon
there.
on that one too.
Wisconsin could be fun to watch though. They always
They
are.
they usually are.
Georgia Baylor in the Sugar Bowl.
Ooh. That's tough because Georgia's defense is really good, but Matt Rule always has a good defense. Always.
Could go either way.
Georgia.
All right,
I'm
and
taking Georgia.
and real quick, if you had to go to one bowl game this year, or you got to go to one bowl game, non-playoff, which one did you go to?
And where's the Bahamas Bowl?
Are you asking who's in the Bahamas Bowl?
Yeah, I am asking.
Buffalo and Charlotte.
Don't care. The Bahamas Bowl. Let's go. We're going to the
You know what?
Bahamas.
Might need to go to the Hawaii Bowl and watch some BYU versus Hawaii action. All right, we're going to take a quick break for our last commercial. We'll be right back with a little bit of the Ole Miss schedule for next year. And that's all we've got for our break today. We're back with the G and Finn Show. We're going to get right into, do we want to do quick NFL recap before we get into our schedule?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of time.
All right,
We
Thursday
can
Night Football.
skip
Jets
through
played
that.
the Ravens. Ravens are better than the Jets. The Ravens won by 21. The Jets also scored 21. Ravens are a real deal.
Have to be.
Lamar Jackson's the MVP.
Real deal Holyfield.
Ravens will play in the AFC Championship game. We will see who they play. Probably the Pats.
It's probably the Pats.
Hopefully in
Hopefully
Maryland.
not. I don't
Hopefully in
want the
Baltimore.
Pats. I don't want
I
the
don't
Pats
know.
to go. I don't like them.
You know what? I know the Ravens can beat them, so I'm okay with it.
Same.
Couple big games on Sunday that could be kind of fun. Nothing crazy. Denver will play Kansas City, and the Texans will take on the Titans. Anything else you're watching on Sunday?
Maybe LA at Dallas, because they're both kind of horrible.
And we want to see which one's the worst?
Yeah, they're both kind of horrible, and they might meet in the playoffs because, I mean, the NFC is really kind of bad.
It is.
Let's be real.
It is. All right, so
I hate to say that.
that's kind of, well, at least they're deep, right?
Monday night should be good.
Monday night could be fun.
Indy at New Orleans.
That could be fun, actually.
could be fun.
As
That's
far
really
as
it.
Yeah, as far as the Ole Miss schedule for 2020, when you first saw it, how'd you feel about it? Because just looking at it from a, not even like a fan perspective, from like, well, yeah, from a fan perspective, less than a football
Yeah.
perspective, it didn't. There's one game that sticks out to me as fun:
Which one's that?
Florida at home.
Yeah. That
That's-
one's
that's-
the kind of fun game in that, but at the same time, just after how poorly this season went,
It's hard to get excited about.
exactly, as optimistic as I am with Kiffin, with all the changes being made, that Florida team is still really good.
And you know what? We had our schedule's really. Look, in
Okay,
college
let's-
football,
let's
it's
just break
always
this down. Let's just break it down
so,
game by game.
Real quick, just it's always luck of the draw. In the SEC, you play 9 conference games.
Yep.
And then you play 2 garbage teams, and then you, at least if you're Ole Miss, you play 2 garbage teams.
And then some two decent teams.
Actually, I'm sorry, you have 8 conference games. You play the other 7 in the
Yes.
West. We play Vandy every year.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, we play the other 6 in the West, Vandy every year, and then we rotate through the rest of the East.
Bingo.
So it's always luck of the draw. Last year we got lucky. Our bad out of non-conference were really bad teams.
True.
Except we got Memphis on a really good year, and we got Cal on a pretty good year.
Yeah.
I don't like the way things are shaking out for us for 2020. You want to go week by week?
Yeah, let's break this down week by week. Week 1 is actually a
It's
quote
our-
neutral site game.
And it's our big Power 5 opponent that we like to play week 1 lately.
It's Houston against Baylor.
That's a good team last year.
They're really good this year, and the thing is,
They're returning their quarterback.
Matt Rule is a really good coach.
Rule's an excellent coach.
He was pushing all
You know what?
the right buttons.
I wouldn't
this
be
year.
too surprised if he isn't coaching for Baylor come September.
I would be, only because I don't see any bigger programs or programs that are willing to give him more money. I don't see any of them
You know what?
replacing their head coach.
I think an NFL team might.
Ooh, okay.
I remember him in the conversation last year for the Dolphins and for the Jets. Jets first and then the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But
I could see that.
he's been in the conversation for some NFL fan bases. I wouldn't be too surprised. He's an excellent coach. Could have a lot of success anywhere. I don't see a win coming out of the Baylor game.
Neither do I.
But if you want to go, I had a great time when I went to the Texas Tech game at NRG Stadium.
Me too. NRG is beautiful.
Would recommend it.
It's a great thing.
Great tailgate, even if it's an 11 a.m. game like Texas Tech was. We get easy win
Southeast
week 2.
Missouri Cupcake.
Southeast Missouri. It's our home opener. Then all of a sudden we
Auburn
start
comes
playing
to
the
town.
SEC. Auburn week 3 at the Vaught could be a good game.
Could be a good game if Auburn's defensive, like if their front 7 is the same as they are this year, or at least similar in
It's
talent
still
level.
going to be tough.
It'll be a tough game, and Bo Nix will have a whole season and a whole extra offseason under
Yeah.
his belt.
Bo Nix
and
is
he
getting
looks good.
Yeah, maturity really helps in college.
So I'd say that's a toss-up right now, depending on how those first 2 weeks go for Ole Miss.
I'd say it could go either way.
At Ole Miss,
then-
at LSU.
Then we travel to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. We're not going to win.
depending on their quarterback, that's
It's a big question mark. We'll see. We've been wondering how good LSU would be with a quarterback for a long time.
They have one, and they're real good.
Our questions got answered this year. We'll see. Even if they regress to the LSU of the past few years without a quarterback, still going to be a very good team.
Yeah. Alabama.
Alabama at home.
They always have someone coming up after.
Alabama's always good.
Alabama's always good.
They're going to be good again. They're going to be top 10. It's not like they're a cupcake all of a sudden because they lost the Iron Bowl.
Still think that's an L for Ole Miss.
Yeah, but, fun to have Auburn and Alabama come to town a couple
Sure.
weeks apart.
At Vandy.
Then we travel to Vandy. I'm not going because Nashville's awesome, but Vandy's the worst.
Vandy is kind of the worst.
It's like watching at like a small Texas high school.
Yeah.
Except
Also, the Foghorn,
everyone thinks they're better than you.
The Foghorn is
Oh wait,
horrible.
yeah, I
Hate
don't
it.
like it.
Don't. Florida comes to town.
This is my exciting matchup kind of the year. I mentioned it earlier. Florida coming to the Vaught. That only happens once every 14 years.
When was the last time we played Florida at home?
If scheduling stayed the same, it would have been 14 years ago.
Wow.
Last time we played Florida was would have been 2003 or 2.
Was that?
Or I'm sorry, 2012 or 2013 at Florida.
Okay.
And then 7 years or 6 years before that
would have been at home.
would have been at home. So
Was
12 years,
that
not
the
14.
Tim Tebow game?
Oh my God, it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, the last time we played Florida at home, we
Was
made
the
Tim
Tim
Tebow
Tebow
cry.
cry.
And
Yes.
we all know how that ended.
Yes.
Now
Now
and
he
then,
hates us and refuses to pick us on air.
yeah,
That's fine.
I'd be mad too.
cares?
I kind of like this next
He's
game.
a baseball player now.
I like this next game just because I'm from up that way. I've got a couple friends there that might come down and visit.
Oh, UConn?
Playing UConn.
Nice.
That's kind
The
of fun.
Huskies.
That's kind of fun.
Huskies coming to town.
Get a bye week on Halloween.
Ooh, that's not.
Saturday. Halloween's a Saturday next year. That's
Quit
exciting.
scheming. It's
Saturday?
too early for this.
And Thanksgiving's on a Thursday.
always- come
After
on.
the bye, we will travel to Kyle Field, take on the Aggies at Texas A&M.
Playing in.
I have no
College
idea if they're going to be
Station.
any good.
Yeah, they're not very good this year. A&M, that is. But Kyle is always a tough place to play. To me, that's a toss-up.
Yeah.
That's a flip of the coin for me.
Travel
Arky,
to Arkansas. We're not
Win.
playing a neutral site this year. We're
Win.
going to Arkansas.
win.
Dub.
Dub season.
Georgia Southern at the Vaught.
Dub season.
We will beat Georgia Southern unless we're like
Really bad.
8-2. No, if we're 8-2, we'll lose.
If we're really good at that
If we
point,
have
we're
several
gonna
wins,
lose.
we're going to lose. If we're bad, we'll win because it doesn't matter. But if we're good, we're going to lose.
Fair enough.
Same goes for the final game of the season, of course, against State. This time at home.
I think honestly.
We should be favored in that game.
I
if
don't like
everything
Joe
goes to
Moorhead.
plan. If we played again today, we'd probably be favored.
I don't like Joe Moorhead. I don't think he's that good.
I was very high on him. I wanted him for the Ole Miss job. After seeing what he's done at State without the major impact NFL level defensive talent,
Yeah.
has been kind of illuminating. How many wins do you see on the schedule? Let's just run through it. Baylor,
Loss.
loss.
Missouri. Win.
Southeast Missouri
Excuse
Redhawks, win.
Win.
Auburn,
Just for right now, loss.
I'll say loss as well.
LSU.
LSU, loss.
Loss.
Alabama,
Loss.
Vandy,
Win.
Florida, loss.
UConn, win. A&M,
let's say win.
just for right now?
I'm saying win.
Win. I'm going to go with win.
Arkansas,
Win.
Georgia Southern,
Win.
State,
You know what?
win.
Win.
I like us in the state game.
7.
So,
That's 7.
look, you know what? It looks like
Bowl game.
it's a tough schedule.
For you
But
guys.
as far as games we should be favored in, let's say we take them. So that's Southeast Missouri, Vanderbilt, UConn, Arkansas, and Georgia Southern. There's your 5 wins.
You just need one more out of the rest of that
There's your 5.
schedule.
Now, you beat State at home. That's doable. You beat
Yeah.
A&M on the road. That's doable.
That's certainly doable.
You beat Auburn at home. That might be doable next year, too.
I mean, we almost pulled that game out this year in Auburn.
we really should have.
We should have, definitely.
No one won that game. Auburn just lost slower. I think that's kind of all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I've got for the 2020 schedule. We probably could have waited a little bit to take a look at that.
Just because we are expecting to be back in the spring.
Yes, we are hoping to be back in the spring semester here on 92.1 FM Rebel Radio.
So
Just before we head out,
Yeah.
I wanted to thank everybody for listening. This is both of our first semesters here on 92.1 FM. We really appreciate all the love and support. Without everybody tuning in and telling us that it's going well, I don't know how well it'd be going right now without that.
Yeah, you know what? It was my first time ever doing anything live on air, ever doing any voice recording whatsoever. But yeah, I've had an excellent time. Really have a lot of fun in this booth, honestly, a couple times a week. It's been great being able to, finally have an
Just
outlet
talk some
to
sports,
vent our frustrations about Ole Miss and then talk about the rest of the sporting world. So yeah, thank you to everyone who's been listening all year. We will be back next semester. But until then, I've been John Finnegan.
And I've been George Agiro.
And this has been the Fall 2019 G and Fin Show on 92.1 Rebel Radio.